We admit that we are powerless to control our tendency to do the wrong thing, and that our lives have become unmanageable to control. Now here's the neat thing about step one. It is a two-part step. It is internal because we are powerless, and it is external because it's measurable by the things that we do in our lives. You can sit there and tell yourself all day long that everything in your life is okay, and believe it. But then your car is broke down, and you're on probation, and you're on job number 5, and girlfriend number 6, or boyfriend number 8, and you got all these things outside of you that are going wrong that you can't control. At some point, the part inside of you has got to catch up with yourself, and just the two have got to come together. And powerlessness and unmanageability. So I remember there were a lot of times where I was telling Jan, I've got this. You guys ever say, well, I've got this. Everything is all right. Well, what that really meant was I just wanted her to stand out of the way so I could nosedive our family into another disaster.
Amen.
So being powerless in my life and unmanageable, to admit those things isn't a weakness. It is probably one of the biggest strengths that any of us can finally come up with, to admit that there are some things in our life that just don't add up and make sense why we do it. Why do I feel the need to take every dollar that I ever give to my wife for rent or for bills and then try to turn around and figure out every way I can get it back from her? It's because I'm trying to seek approval for the things that I'm doing that I know isn't right. And the thing with my wife is, and any of you that are with someone or co with someone, is that they're not, or they shouldn't, co-sign on the things that you're doing wrong. It's just like God himself. God is not going to fund a plan that I come up with for my life. Now, if it's in his will and I finally have lined up with him, there might be a different story. But if I am trying to go off down the road and try to come up with my own little plan, he is not going to finance it, and I'm not going to be successful. You are going to know what drug addicts are staying clean, or what people are, when they get through some hurts and habits and all these other things that they have. You're going to know by the fruits that they bear, by the lives that they have, by the way that they talk, by the places they go, by the way they carry themselves, by the things that they tell you as far as what hope and reality is. Those are the things that you're looking for when we walk out this door, as people that are going to help us grow our branches, not cut them down the first chance they get. But we got to make sure that we're not the ones cutting down someone else's branch either, though. And believe it's for a good cause. When we start going through this step work and start looking at just not just this step, but many steps to come, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. Am I going to let my past failures prevent me from taking this journey? I've done treatment before, Jason. I've done meetings before. I've gone to a dozen different places. I've done a dozen different things to try to get my life back in order. I just don't know if I have it in me. Are you going to let every past failure that you have dictate and tell you that you're not worth the fight this time? See, that's a tricky thing that we have to deal with. It don't matter if you've been in here 1 time or 10 times. We're not God. We don't know which time it is. We got to love you like it's the first time. Now, the same thing with that dude that went to the river to wash the mud off his face. Jesus spit dirt, made mud, spit on his face, or threw it on his face, and told him to go wash it off in the river, and he was going to see. Now, I'm pretty sure that that guy lived in that area, and I'm pretty sure that he had been down to that river many times before. And for why would he think that this time was going to be the time? Because I'm sure he was walking through town and people were laughing and talking. That Jason ain't going to make it to the river. The first time he falls, he's going to stop. He's done it before. Oh, look, here comes Jason again. And then all of a sudden, I don't know about you guys, but that radio in my head starts playing really loud. I don't think you're going to make it. You've gone down this path. You've heard these sounds. You've already tried this before. But the man didn't stop before the miracle happened. The man went to the river, and he fought, and he hit walls, and he fell over, and he heard people talking, but he didn't stop. He kept walking, because there was something beautiful about that guy that spit in mud, or spit in dirt, that he knew that he needed to be there. There was something beautiful when God was whispering to him in jail, saying, you need to be at this meeting. Oh, you don't feel like going because you had a hard day at work? You need to go. Oh, what, your kids are fighting, or you just got into a fight with your wife about something that had to do with someone? You need to go. You need to find your river. Because I will no longer allow myself to stop before that miracle happens. And that man didn't either. So what I'm saying is, is your past failures. That man has been in that river before washing off. And now he's going to go in there, and this time he's going to wash off, and he's going to come out and see something. Why? Because he took God in the river with him this time, and he left with God. And this time when we come here into these meetings, we're bringing God with us, but we don't check him at the door like a code. We take him back with us, and we live and experience the meetings like we've always wanted to truly experience them. Yes. Same meeting, different thought process. Same meeting, different spirit. So that's the first question we need to battle. The second one is, am I afraid to change? Now, it makes all the sense in the world not to commit felonies. It's not as easy as what it sounds like to the people that don't have felonies. It's really not. But we're supposed to. Am I afraid to change? You know what? I was comfortable in some of my messy decisions that I made. I was comfortable in a chaotic lifestyle. I was very comfortable because I understood it. I didn't like some of the consequences and the outcomes, but I did understand the process in which I lived in, and I did understand that I didn't have to expect a lot of myself or other people. Am I afraid to change? Yes, I'm afraid to change because I don't know what's expected of me when I do. I don't always know how to walk into a really nice church and act. I don't know how to go into a restroom that you don't throw away the silverware. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while we get a restaurant. That's a restroom. Freudian. Or that place either. What I'm saying is, am I afraid to change? There are some times I'm afraid to change because I don't always know how to act on the other side of that. And sometimes that fear will keep me from doing the necessary things that I need to do. But that's because I lean on my own power and I got past failures that I didn't do the step one and understand that if I live by what God is telling me to do, I don't have to worry about where I'm going. I don't have to worry about what I have. I got to work the steps, go to my meetings, and I understand that I can come out victorious in His name. But the funny thing is I got to make sure I don't take credit for it like I used to. I got to dictate where the credit came from. Thank you, God, for saving me. For me. For you. Why was I chosen someone else? Those things and those questions I don't know. I'm just thankful that I was saved and spared. We need to be willing to get rid of the baggage in our step one. We carry some really weird baggage with us, right? And then we meet somebody else that's got their own set of luggage. And then we bring these two little luggages together and they have baby savage luggages. And then we're trying to figure out whose luggage belongs to who. But we got to understand that step one will teach you about what baggage is yours, and it'll tell you what you need to get rid of. And there's some garments in there that are really good to keep. I have some skills that I understand that are really good and successful things. Rebelliousness, spontaneousness, outgoingness. Those are all successful traits in a recovery room. I have got to be rebellious. I have got to tell myself, yes, I'm going to go sometimes when I don't. I am going to stand firm on that. No, I can't help you today. I got to go. I've got to be rebellious. I've got to be spontaneous, man, when I come home after work and I'm just sitting there and I don't want to leave. I've got to be ready to go to a different thing, go to this or go to that. All these things that made me a drug addict are all the things that God is going to turn on and make me successful with if I use them for the way the Lord wants me to. We've got those skills. Our whole entire catastrophe of life and dramatic events were not a waste unless we don't use them. And Celebrate Recovery and the steps, they teach us how to use them. When we talk about what our strengths are and we talk about what courage is, I could walk in a crack house and unfortunately feel very comfortable. But I can sit there and tell people, oh, I can't go to that person's house or I can't go to that church because I'm uncomfortable. Do what? You mean I can walk into a crack house, but I can't walk into a church because I'm uncomfortable? No, what I have is built-in excuses because I want to do what I want to do. Sometimes I don't want to do what God tells me to do. I can no longer sit there and blame God and blame other people for the things that I know I should be doing and I can't do. It says in Joshua 1, the first 9 verses, 3 times does it tell you to be strong and courageous in what you do. The last verse of Joshua in chapter 1 says, be strong and courageous. 4 times in that chapter it's telling us to be strong and courageous. To go out. To not look at left and right, but just keep going straight to that promised land. I can't worry about what people are saying over here. I can't worry about what people are doing here. Step 1 says that I have to deal with my own powerlessness and unmanageability through the power of Christ. because I know that every other way has not worked in the past for me. The neat thing about these steps and what we're going to get into when we work these steps, a lot of us assume that the step work is just for addicts, just for drug addicts. It's a great tool, but there are actually keys and successful ways that all of us can learn to deal with life on its terms. You don't have to be a drug addict to understand that you're powerless and your life is unmanageable over many things. And the neat thing is the addiction itself just got me here long enough so I could listen to something. And then all I need to do is go back and apply the same steps to all those little areas of life that are tripping me up, and I can become equally successful. But the common denominator in all that is God is right in the middle and Jesus is leading. That's what I need. I need a leader. If you're bound by guilt and you think that no one can love you, you're wrong. Jesus can love you. This group can love you. I can love you. And we're going to do all those things until you have the ability and you learn to love yourself. And I'm not saying that you got to walk in here all happy and bubbles and know this God is love and this and that. You'll learn all that. All you got to do is walk in here and be willing to let someone love you until you can do that for yourself. None of us came in here successful. I have yet to see a successful person. I don't know what that looks like yet. It may happen. But I do know when people walk out, they feel loved. I don't know about you guys, but I know that this Celebrate Recovery gives a lot of us a place to belong to. Because there's a lot of things that we put up in our mind and a lot of places that we don't feel comfortable. Whether it's them or not, whether it's us or not, it doesn't matter. But Celebrate Recovery gives us a place where we're comfortable and we belong. You may have been abusing alcohol, drugs, scripts, food, afraid of what you're going to do without substances. God does not want you frozen in unhealthy relationships. He doesn't want you hurt in a habit. He wants you to do your part in becoming well again. Now, the interesting thing about being well again is we have some responsibilities later on the road that we don't know yet. And some of that fear is, now that I've got healed, now that I'm well, I have a part in that. And what it scares me sometimes is I don't know what that part is and how I'm going to act. You will learn through the steps and they will guide you if you just take them slow enough. They will teach you, and self-help is really cool because it tells you in AA, in the promises. You will learn to handle situations that used to baffle you. You will intuitively know how to handle situations. You'll know peace. You'll know freedom. So if this cannot be your only source of recovery, this is a great source because we're together, we got a ministry, we talk on Facebook. This can't be it. One time a week is not going to change your life. I want to see some of you smoke meth and crack one time a week. I want some of you codependent people to only say yes to one event one time a week, Melody. I want to see some of that. I want to see you do your hurt, habit, or hang up one time a week. It ain't going to happen. So your recovery is not going to happen one time a week. We should be out there going to the NA meetings. We should be out there going to the AA meetings. We should be going to different churches. We should be supporting our local churches. We should be hanging out with all of us and taking more with us. This is not just a program of singleness to where we've got all the answers. We have got a nice piece of the pie, but there's many slices.
That's right.
Many slices. Many slices. Okay, so how many of you said this? How many of you use denial? We all know what denial is. We're going to break it down, the steps of denial. But how many of you guys have said this in your denialness? Talking about it makes it worse for me. I've said stuff like that. Talking about it, it does not. It does not. Not talking about it makes it go away or makes it more. Well, he or she really doesn't do it that much. I eat because it makes me mad. I eat because he makes me mad. I eat because I want to be mad. I can stop when I want. I just don't want to. If only she didn't do that. Whatever you fill in with that blank is. All these things that we're looking at are things outside of who we are to put a blame on something else, to take away the responsibility of ourselves. The step is very easy because denial is looking at an inward process to where you finally tell yourself and you line it up with what God has been always telling you, that today is a day that it's my fault. I chose this. It's not my mom's fault. It's not my dad's fault. It's not all the things that happened in my past, although that can be baggage. It is the things that I chose. And God, if you just help me and give me something, I will change. And He will. Amen. He will. Jeremiah 6:14 says, you can't heal a wound by saying it's not there. We can't hide and get past and get through an addiction just because we pretend we're not like that person anymore. Because if it don't come out in this way, all of a sudden you're going to have some weird little things going on, like go shopping and buy 20 different instruments in the first 2 months of your sobriety. Oh, see, everyone thinks I'm picking on them with that going on. You will manifest your disease in so many different ways that the addiction part of it wasn't anything. Codependent people will find so many unhealthy people to hang out with. Their head will spin. And if they're not unhealthy enough, they will create service worker committees or boards directly are responsible for. Our disease will manifest itself in so many different ways. Our hurt will manifest in so many different ways. Our habits and our pain. We will do things and say things that normally we wouldn't have done. And be okay with it for a while. So the denial acrostic. I haven't done an acrostic for a while. Acrostics are cool little things. So Celebrate Recovery, I think there's like 227,000 of them that we're going to go through. There's a lot of them there. A lot. Each letter of a word represents a whole other thought within itself. The D for denial disables our emotions. In our denial, in our hurt, there are certain things that many of us shut down. There are many things that we don't necessarily want to deal with. And the reason why, as far as the addiction part goes, it's like, oh, it's raining, let's use. Oh, it's sunny, let's use. I've had a great day, let's use. I've had a bad day, let's use. We disable our emotions and our feelings. We don't want to feel, and a lot of times the reason that happens is because we have hurt so many people that we no longer can deny what we're doing. And there's some of us that had to shut that off. Now the problem with that is if you go back to using, or you go back to your thing, you start shutting down the things that God has opened up. Because they tell you in these rooms that you can't go back out and do what you were doing before successfully if you've gotten exposed to something. It won't work. You will feel 10 times miserable. If you disabled your feelings, you will get a loss of energy. You will worry about your past and you will dread your future. Have you ever heard someone say this? My past is worthless. My future is hopeless. And where does that leave you today then? I mean, what are you really going to do with today if you feel that that was worthless and that's hopeless? You're going to sit and do nothing. At some point, God has got to step in and send Jesus to you. And He's got to sit with you at the end of a bed or in a jail cell or in a hospital room or at a funeral, unfortunately. And He's got to whisper in your ear, I've got something for you. Do you want something more than what you got? Do you want a hope? Do you know that tomorrow you can smile again? Do you know that you can have a job that you've always wanted? Do you know that you can live? Do you know that there's hope? Do you know that there's hope? And so what happens is when you get exposed to that, you understand that hope isn't something you wished for. Hope is waiting for you. Hope is the promise that tomorrow can be a little bit better than what today was, and that next day can be a little bit better. And then all of a sudden, a year later, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you don't understand or know who you are. But what's even better is you're the last one to know because people have already told you, you're different. I don't know what it is. You're different. I remember when the guys at work would start talking and cussing, and this guy was so funny, he would go, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay. And he would go on, and then he'd say, I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay. And he says, well, I know you don't talk like that. And I said, I didn't even realize that's what you were sorry for. He actually, because of me and the character that I was and the character that I displayed, he actually took a look at himself and decided that what he was displaying wasn't what he wanted to be. And I didn't even say nothing about it. And see, sometimes the self-help programs tell us that we are based on an attraction, not a promotion. And so all I got to do is live who I am and who God's trying to get me to be, and people will take notice. Because if not, I will have a loss of energy. If I don't think it matters, it don't matter. It negates growth. So when you lose your feelings or you disable your feelings, you don't have a really big care or energy in the world, it will negate your growth. It won't matter what you're doing, because if you're being sneaky behind closed doors, but you're being really good in front of people, oh boy, that went somewhere again. It don't matter what you try to do, it will negate the growth that you are living. God will not bless the fake character that you are trying to be when the real character isn't worth it right in that moment. You have got to line those two up. In fact, you are better off being a turd in public and acting better in private, so that at least you have your integrity in check. Your integrity is important. It is a link to where and what God can do for you in private, when you're asleep, or when no one's watching, or the lights are off, or you're at home. There is no way that I can tell you, I'm just going to be blunt. There's half kids in here. I can't tell you guys that I'm a Christian, I love Jesus, and then turn around and go home and look at porn on my phone. I can't do that. I can't sit there and tell you that I'm a man of God and I have faith, and then go home and cuss out everybody in my household, or steal something at Walmart. But as long as you guys ain't looking, then it's okay. No, those things are not okay. This isn't okay anonymous. Those things will destroy your soul, and it will negate your growth, and you won't have the relationship that God is trying to have with you. And you will not have the relationship that Celebrate Recovery says. God will never waste the darkness, but He can't use it unless you step out of it. We are going to have some dark times in here, but God can use them the minute you say, I will, He will. We just got to be able to say, I will. So after you negate your growth, you tend to isolate, right? I don't have no energy about life. Really don't have any feelings. Really not going anywhere to the plus or minus. I will isolate myself, the I will isolate from God. I will remove myself from all things that are godly. I remember when I was sitting there and I was doing meth, and I was trying to have a relationship with God and use meth. Now, I know it sounds funny to people that don't understand that, but it happens a lot more than you think. And I was trying to listen to Christian... don't shake your head, it's not. I was trying to listen to Caleb and sing My God I Serve, or someone who knows what song it was, but I was high. And Jan said, you are not going to listen to that music if you're high on meth. And I said, I have to listen to it. She said, no, you're not. She thought I was mocking God, and I was just trying to create a balance because I understood how far I could go down if I didn't have something. But it actually finally came to the time where I isolated and I wanted to hide. I could no longer do it. Truth, the way, the light. We think that nobody knows, but they do. If you isolate from God, here's the example from it. There's a fireplace, and there's lots of coals in the fire. And if you take that poker stick, the jabber thing, if you take that and you start moving one of those coals and you move it away from the fire and you put it over by yourself, at some point when that cools off, it becomes black again. And it becomes cold. And it becomes brittle. And it's not much good. And so that's what happens with us when we isolate ourselves from God. We become cold again. Bitter. Not have a lot of heat or value at that point. All it takes is someone, something to move yourself back over into God's fire. All it takes is this one person, to come into a Celebrate Recovery room and get amongst the coals that are burning hot again, because within seconds, that coal will get red hot and you will be part of the fire that's burning for change. It don't take long to come in here and be around people that are about change in order to want to get that life and get that change. And the point is that we can't just sit here and let people get on fire in here. We got to be out there with them getting on fire. There is a ministry that is live and well. There are things going on. You can see through the announcements that we can't stop in this room. That we have to do this together. If you're not an addict, then go to a recovery rally anyway. Hang out with the people that you love that are trying to get the same thing you're getting. A relationship with God. A personalized relationship with Jesus.
Amen.
After you isolate from God's light and God's truth, you will alienate from others. So after I have spiritually relapsed in my life, and I alienate myself from God, I will pull away from any person that's ever loved me or showed interest in me. I remember when I was a college professor, and I was using meth, and I had a phone that had like 25 or 30 college professionals. I had 35, 40 people that I couldn't call because I had done alienating myself from them. My head got to talking to me. I became worthless again in my mind. There is something about that active addiction, there is something about your active habit that will sit there and it will draw you away from anybody and everybody that's ever loved you. It will destroy a relationship that doesn't need to be destroyed. You will hear people think, you will hear people say to you, or you will believe you've read text that will say that will reinforce in your mind that they're wrong and you're right, and you will stay away. And it'll damage you. And it'll take little bits and pieces of your heart and of your soul until one day you have to go down and negate your growth and go through the whole feelings thing. We are designed by design to be together. We are designed in this fellowship, in the 12 steps, 14 times it says the word we. We are designed to be with each other.
That's right.
To carry each other's burdens. To share each other's shame. Right? I want to know what your shame is, not because I want to hold it against you, but I probably got a little bit too that I need to get off my chest. And if you go first, that makes me feel better. I'll go second. There are some days, though, where I got to go first. I got to share my shame. I got to share my joy. I got to give my pain up. But I got to have a group that I can do that in. And it starts with the relationship with Jesus, but it'll carry over to each of us in this room. And when we bring it to meetings like this, we can share with each other. If you have disabled feelings, if you have an energy lost for life, if you've negated your growth, you've isolated from God, and you've alienated yourself from people, the only thing that's left is that L, and the only thing that does is it lengthens your pain for a long, long time. But here at Cell by Recovery, we understand this, that it is better to tell an ugly truth than a beautiful lie. Not easier. It's not easier. But it will always be better to tell an ugly truth. False belief that denial shortens pain will create a relapse. It'll shoot you right into the pits of shame and guilt. It'll extend your hurt. It'll manipulate the people that you love. And it'll keep you isolated to where every no in your life becomes a yes. And you're sitting at home making excuses on why you're not here. It will rob us. Codependency will rob us. Hurt will rob us. I can overshot and it could rob us. These are the things that Jesus is telling us to step out. Now, the first step is the only step that we actually have to do perfectly every day. We have to perfectly work it. We have to perfectly make that choice the minute we get up, that today is not the day that God, or that Satan is going to tempt me. I am no longer going to allow Satan the power to tempt me when I understand God places me. I got to understand that there are things that God is wanting me to do, but I turn around and give the credit to the wrong thing. Do not give credit to the devil for flat tires, for mishap jobs, for people that are mean, for people that don't look at you right. Those are opportunities that God is placing you to give yourself an opportunity to share God's love. And the program and stuff that teaches that. So Lord, you guys will go up. So we're going to close out with a couple songs. As you guys are working this step for the whole week, start working on one thing, just one issue that you've been struggling with when it comes to denial. And then we'll go on to the second step, second part of the step.